Hi, my name is Barbara Chamberlin. I'm with the NMSU Learning Games Lab. This is an abbreviated version of a talk I gave at Carnegie Mellon University on user testing. And if you do game development or interactive development, you might agree with some reasons I give for why I hate user testing. And I used to really hate user testing for a number of reasons. It's hard to put your stuff out there and have people give you criticism. It felt like a personal attack when somebody wouldn't do it the way I thought they would, but mostly it was a hassle. It's a lot of work to set it up, and it doesn't go the way you want, and then you got to set it up again. It was one of my least favorite parts of the design process. But some things have happened in the past 10 years, and I have to say it's really changed my whole approach to user testing, because now I no longer hate user testing. Yeah, you see what I did there? Yeah, let me tell you why. In our Learning Games Lab, we set up a place where we have users for whatever project we're working on, in this case kids in these photos, that are there every day in the summer and throughout the school year. And that little act where it was easy to have them. At any point, we can run downstairs and ask him a question, or ask him about the characters, or see if this gameplay works. It made user testing easy, and as a result, it opened up a whole different approach to user testing. It changed the methodologies we use and really how we incorporated it in with the design process. Now, you can't talk about user testing without these two very popular quotes in the field. The first, Steve Jobs saying it's really hard to design products by focus groups. A lot of times, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And Henry Ford, who'd said if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Okay, yeah, these are hilarious, but here's why I don't like them. They contribute to the myth that is the geniuses of the world, the innovators, the really incredible people are so smart they don't need to test with users. And that's terribly unfair. For starters, what these gentlemen are talking about isn't user testing with focus groups. What they're talking about is design innovation. The brilliance of each of these men is not in the full execution of their idea, although that was nice too. It was in the incredible innovation in the first place to understand it needed to be created. And user testing doesn't take away from that. In fact, user testing doesn't remove design genius. There's nothing lacking in your abilities to be a brilliant game or experience designer if you choose to integrate user testing as part of that. So what can I tell you about what I've learned about testing as design? I use the words user testing, play testing, formative testing, beta testing, because people in our field do, and I talk about those all the time. But really, the frequent nature of our testing and the way we test all sorts of little different things in different ways really makes it part of the design process for us as developers, and I think it improves our intuition as developers. Now, I want to do a quick word on users as designers. Some folks in some of the literature supports having members of your target audience as part of your team in development. We don't really do that much, especially with kids. It's not fair for their contributions for the amount of time they have to put into it. They aren't trained to design and to create these things. But also because, to be honest, I just find I get what I need by talking with them regularly about the project, as opposed to having them as a member of the team. So I've got 7 little strategies for you. And the first is that working with users shouldn't be a test of success, but part of the design process. Okay, don't look at it as a litmus test. Boom, here's the product. Did they get it? Did they not get it? Boom, here it is. Did they get it? Did they not get it? Don't treat it as a referendum on whether or not you could exactly read their minds in the environment which they'll be using it. Use it as a way to investigate small aspects of your project throughout the process, so that there isn't one great big test to explore. In this way, when you do your final testing, where you really can have a product, deliver it to somebody and see if they're using it, you won't be getting little surprises that could actually hold up the rest of the test. Second strategy, don't ask the question you want answered. Okay, I have a YouTube video online that goes more into depth about user testing and why sometimes it's flawed, and it talks a lot about this issue. But for here, we can say that there's a question you really need to know, or hopefully questions that you want to know. Try to not ask your users. For example, I might want to know if they like this graphic, or which of these graphics they like best. Well, what I need to know is how they feel about the graphic. If I ask them a blatant question like that, they're going to try to please me and give me the answer they think I want to give them, or they're going to compare graphics, when really what I need to know is not which of these graphics done by some of our team at NMSU for a project we're working on. I don't actually need to know which of these they like best. What I really like to know is individual characteristics about what they like or don't like, or what's weird, or how they feel about the dog's tongue. And really what I know is there any of these that they hate? Because I'm not going to get a graphic that everybody absolutely thinks is their favorite all the time. But as long as I have graphics that don't deter them from playing my game, then if it's attractive enough to everybody that they'll engage in it, that's a winning combination. So try to look at those questions by observing their behavior, by discussing different aspects of it, by giving them a creative activity where they create something and explain it back to you and listen for keywords they use, and other questions where you can kind of ask around the question that you want to have answered. Coordinate multiple ways of getting feedback. We do a lot of this, and it's not necessarily because we love to spend extra hours doing the testing process, but because we found that when we give users different ways to give us feedback in a single session, maybe they're playing a game that's not ours, that they're warming up on, or maybe we have them blog about it, or they answer a question in the video closet, or we do focus group testing and interviews. When we give multiple ways for that, it not only helps make sure we get the feedback we need, because we might have accidentally messed up on our questioning process, but it gives your users a chance to kind of warm up and shape their ideas and really think, no, is that really how I feel? No, well, that's not really the issue. This is the issue. So having multiple ways where they can give it R, they can be observed, it really makes your testing stronger. You don't want to ever just trust what somebody tells you, for example. This is one of my favorite activities. We'll have kids especially draw pictures before we show them any of our stuff and explain to us what they think would be great in a game or transportation, and then we kind of hear what they're looking for and often what they don't like. Work with users +or-1 and gatekeepers. Okay, what I mean by users +or-1, if you're doing a math game for 6th graders, also test it with 5th graders, test it with 7th graders, test it with younger brothers, you certainly need to make sure you hit your audience. But if you're seeing trends about way younger kids or older kids, starters, you might want to change your audience for the game, but it might speak more clearly to you about a game being juvenile if all of a sudden all the 7- and 9-year-olds like it. Gatekeepers is crucial. We have example after example after example where we've developed something that the user groups loved. And then we go to the gatekeepers, maybe the teachers or the professionals who are sharing videos with clientele, and for some reason they didn't like it. I'll hear from teachers, for example, stuff that the kids loved, and the teachers will say, well, I like it, but I think the kids will find this juvenile. It doesn't matter if the kids find it juvenile or not. If the teachers think the kids won't like it, they won't bring it into the classroom. So it's important to bring your gatekeepers, whoever it is that controls the use of your game, be that parents, teachers, kids, whoever's making those decisions. We had some great gatekeepers, just other professionals and parents who were looking at very early storyboards for an animation we did on balancing both sides of an equation with a good fairy and a bad fairy and the spells they placed on the princess. And I think it was a solid script. I liked it. The kids liked it. We got the math down straight. And the gatekeeper said, oh, another princess story. I don't know, really? Princesses again? So we ultimately let that idea go and go another way. Don't fix it just because it seems broken. Boy, does this not make any sense. Okay, let's stick with me for a minute. Okay, the light switch in our house. We've lived there 8 years. I'm looking at it, and it's dirty. There's grime around there. And I'm like, what kind of animals are we that we can't keep our light switch clean? And so I go to other people's houses, and I notice, they got grime there too. We're not like monkeys. I mean, it happens. And I'm thinking, okay, if everybody has this problem, how could we fix it? Do we need a larger light plate? I mean, do we need to put like a plastic barrier around it to keep it clean? And I thought, okay, wait, Barb, just back up a minute. Because you know what will solve this problem? A sponge and some soap. Just because there's a problem in the game doesn't mean you have to fix it. Ask if your game does what it needs to do. One of the things I hear all the time is, oh, the kids wanted more levels in this game. They wanted more levels. They wanted more levels. I think that's fabulous. It doesn't mean I'm going to put more levels in it. If they want more levels, it means they enjoyed it so much they want more. What I care about is, did it have enough levels that it met the educational objectives for the game? If so, man, I'm happy. Assume your methods are flawed, because they are, because we're human. I mean, not because, I don't know you personally, I'm sure you're very nice, but because we can't go through this process where we don't make some mistakes. And if you gauge in discussion about your methods and what you could have done wrong, it helps you not only become a better reviewer, but it helps you realize that the information you get from your users might be a little biased as a result. So just assume that you're going to mess it up sometimes, you're going to do it better next time, and then as you're discussing it, talk about how you could have done it perhaps a little better. And while we're talking about discussion, as a team, decide what information to use and what to ignore. The first part of this is as a team. You and I could do 2 exact games, 2 separate user tests, and we could interpret it absolutely different. This is a subjective art. Deciding how to interpret the feedback you get and what that means, you need a couple brains at the table to do that, and unless you have more than one. I recommend you getting a group of people to think through things with. And while you're discussing that and thinking through it, make sure you document what the problems were, not just what you think the solutions are. It's natural for us to say, okay, we got to fix this, we got to fix it. Document what the problem is so that later, when you're halfway through a fix and it turns out the fix isn't working, you can say, wait a minute, what was the problem we were trying to solve? And go back to that again. And it's okay to ignore some of this. A lot of user testing is just preference. They might like red, you like blue. Hey, you want blue? Go with blue. I mean, it's your project. So, user testing doesn't remove design genius. In fact, I think it builds design intuition. I mean, it makes you a better designer out of the gate, but I think it also enables others to experience the genius. That's really the gift that user testing gives us, is it takes your beautiful idea, your beautiful game, and it makes it accessible. And that's really what we want to do as designers. So it perfects genius. I hope so. That's our goal, isn't it? For all of us? Please drop me a line if you have some questions, or if you have some ideas you'd like to share with me. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.